Hi, I'm Denise O'Malley, the founder of You Define Wellness, and welcome to the Defining Wellness Author Series. This is where I'm introducing you to some of the You Define Wellness network providers who have authored a book on health and wellness. And this is a vetted provider directory. I stand behind all of the people who are in our network because they're bringing to you such knowledge and expertise. And today I have the pleasure of chatting with Susan Golicic. And Susan, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Denise, for having me. This is awesome.
Yes. And I'm excited because we're going to talk about your new book that just recently came out, Adventure. And let me get my screens back here. Adventure, your passport to inspired living. So tell me about it.
So this is a quick kind of little handbook, basically, on adventure, on what adventure is. There's a lot of different perceptions out there, and so I wanted to talk about what it really means, what adventure really means, what some of the perceptions are, because different people have perceptions, just to kind of open people's minds to thinking about it as, because a lot of people really think, oh, adventure means I need to save up a bunch of money, take a huge trip, and climb Mount Everest.
Right.
And that is an adventure, but there's so much more that adventure includes. And there's been a lot of studies about the impact of adventure and how that actually helps improve people's wellness. And so I've looked at all that research and I compiled kind of just a quick summary of a lot of the impacts of adventure and what that can do for you. And then the passport to inspired living is just basically ideas on it has such benefit and here's how you can get more of it in your life. And then that's kind of part of one of my missions in life is to help people get more out of their life and adventure more to be able to do that.
It sounds like you're giving them permission.
Really, it has to be them giving themselves permission. I guess maybe what I'm trying to do is plant the seed for them to do that, because I planted that seed for myself really early on and decided that I wanted to adventure a lot. And so yeah, I got to the point where I gave myself permission to just do these things. And sometimes I do crazy things because I'm a little bit of an adventure junkie. But the impact it's had on me made me an advocate to want that for other people. And so if this book actually just plants that seed and then they're able to give themselves permission, that would be awesome.
Let's talk about that impact on you. What kind of transformation did you see?
It really helped give me confidence. I grew up and I was the go-getter and I was, I had to get great grades and it really stemmed from, I so wanted to please my parents. And I really felt a lot growing up like I wasn't doing that. And so I would do more because I would be like, if I do more, maybe then they'll be really proud of me. And because I kept doing, I really deep down didn't have that much confidence. And when I graduated from college and I moved out of the house, I totally moved several states away. I didn't know anyone. And it was kind of okay, I'm on my own now, find yourself and find your own confidence. And as soon as I moved out, that in and of itself was a huge adventure. But then I started doing things because I lived in the Northeast for a while. I started doing things like rock climbing and parasailing and I just, anything I could find that I could try, I would go out and do. And as I did it, I found that it was building my courage and building my confidence to try new things, even if it was something as mundane as I'm going to go to this park that I've never been to before and take a walk. Or I'm going to go up and approach that person at an event because they look friendly and I'm going to talk to them. So yeah, it really has helped me build my courage, my confidence, my gratitude for everything that I have in life. Because sometimes they don't always go the right way. And that's okay too, because that just helps you grow and learn as well. So.
Right. So I love what you just said about you were in a forced situation. You could either become a hermit and hide it in your new place that you were living in a town where you didn't know anyone, or you could step outside of it. So I love that, how this came about. How do you hope people will use this book?
I hope that they'll come up with ideas for themselves, what adventure will mean for them, and what they could do in their life, and to go out and adventure more, whether it's on their own, whether it's with family, friends, etc. I would love to see that. I would love to see, when I talk about the book, oftentimes I'll talk about, okay, so what can you do in the next week for yourself? What kind of things can you try for the first time? What do you want to do? And some people have bucket lists, right? So some people have these grand ideas of what they'd like to do. And I encourage them, well, think about that. And what do you need to do between here and there to get there? Do you need to save money? Do you need to get friends to go with you and kind of recruit them or what have you? I had a goal years and years ago that I just got it in my head that I wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I didn't live in Colorado at that time, so I hadn't really climbed any mountains. I didn't really even live anywhere too mountainous when I decided I wanted to do that. I think it was a way for me that I thought this would be a really great adventure, to climb this mountain and to go to a country and a continent that's so vastly different. It took me 16 years to make that happen. But once the seed was planted, then I started to think, and when opportunities presented themselves, I was like, okay, well, I could put a little bit of money away here, and I need to start hiking more if I'm going to do this, and I need to get some hiking buddies. And so a lot of that started to come about. And then while hiking with some friends that I hiked with a lot, then I would say, well, I've been thinking I'd really like to climb Kilimanjaro, and sort of plant that seed just to see. And then it just kind of finally came together, and I made it happen. But sometimes when you want to do a bigger adventure, you really need to kind of think about the steps to take to get there. And even those steps can be adventures. But I would really love people to read the book and embrace it more, and witness what it can do for them and how it can change their life, and really just help them move forward. We have routine in our life, and routine is good. But it also keeps us kind of in that same, I'm on that little hamster wheel every day, and I'm doing this and doing that. And so I really encourage people, push your boundaries a little bit, even every day, even at work. If you have the same job every day, what can you do when you go into work today to make it more of an adventure? Talk to someone new, or instead of sending an email, go to that person's office and talk, or whatever. Suggest going to a new lunch place, anything like that. Just kind of switch up the routine, because that gets us into the more of a habit of, if I want to make a change, it's not as hard to take those first steps if I'm used to trying something new here and there.
So would this be a good book for a study group?
That's an interesting question. It could be. There's several pages in the book where, once I've talked about a concept, like I've talked about the perception of adventure. So I'll just put this up there real quick. So there's a page that basically says, how do you think about adventure? What's your perception? And then there's a whole bunch of blank space. And I did that on purpose, whether you want to write in this book, in a journal, or in something else. And so a study group could come together. It's a really pretty quick read. But then they could come together and they could discuss stuff like this. And who knows, if they really like to get together because they love books, they love to read, they love to do, they in and of themselves could become adventure buddies. And they could, as they talk about, well, I'd like to try this, and I'd like to do this, and hey, I'm going to start going for a walk every Thursday, or what. Someone else might be like, I still want to do that with you. And so that can also help, because sometimes people are a little bit leery of adventuring on their own. And so having an adventure buddy can really help that. And it also helps relationships. So if, whether it's forming a new relationship or solidifying an existing one. So yeah, I think actually it probably could be a pretty good book for a book club or a study group.
See, that's what I'm seen when you're talking about this is that this is a great way to bring people together for a purpose and to create their own adventures from it. So there's an idea, folks. If you want to take this idea and run with it, go for it. I think it would be fantastic. And you have a resource here, who the author, you'll know in a minute how to actually reach out to her. So I love everything about this book. I mean, we've talked about it before, and I just love the philosophy. I think it would be a great gift idea for those recent college graduates to stepping out into the world, to give them the permission or the impetus to go out and create they're already creating adventures, but embracing them as a way of life.
Yeah.
It's stress relieving. It's everything, it's great for your health. It's fantastic. So as you were thinking of this conversation that we were going to have today, is there something that you wanted to make sure that you got into the conversation that we haven't covered yet?
So, it's interesting because you had brought up a little bit earlier before we got online about why I wrote this book. And it's really interesting because that in and of itself has been an adventure for me. I wanted to write a book. I'm also a professor at Colorado State, and so I do a lot of research and I do a whole lot of writing. And I thought, I want to write a book more about wellness because it's what I'm really passionate about. And I just want to get some of my story out there and encourage other people to improve their wellness, because we can all improve, and it's different for different people. But and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I would write down an outline, but couldn't really make things happen. And our business is positioned on adventure. We do adventure trips. We do coaching, but it's tied to adventure. We do personal chefing and dining events, and those are adventures. And so I actually, in February, went to a presentation, and it was about writing a book to tie it to speaking. And it gave me some ideas. And then the next day I went on a retreat to Mexico, and on the plane I was jotting down ideas about, maybe I should write a book about adventure and what might that look like. And so I had just basically put down a page of ideas. And then I went on this retreat to Mexico, which was literally just for me. It was an adventure so I could go and have some personal growth and do some exploration of where I am in my life and my spirituality. And while I was in Mexico, I broke my leg.
And I'm not laughing at you, trust me.
Yeah, no, it's actually become one of my favorite things to talk about now, because I'm on this trip, and I'm the one, out of all the people that are there, I'm the one that's, when we get free time, I'm like, I'm going for a run on the beach, and I'm going to do this. And when are we going to go hiking? And, I'm the one that's, when are we going to, adventure more? And they had kayaks there. And so I decided one afternoon, because the waves were down a little bit. It was mostly a surfing beach, but the waves were down a little. So I thought, well, I'm going to go kayaking. And another woman wanted to go. And so here we are getting ready to go on an adventure, and she'd never been. And we go to put the kayak in the water, and a wave took me down and took the kayak on top of my leg and snapped through the tibia and the fibula right above my left ankle. And they rushed me to the hospital, and I had surgery in Mexico, and I was in the hospital for the very first time on my own in a foreign country. So I was lying in the hospital bed thinking, okay, this is the next adventure. You are now, you're not in charge. You're faced with this. And so now you got to figure this out. And that's the thing about adventure is, if you don't embrace adventure, life's going to hit you with stuff anyway. And wouldn't it be great to be resilient enough that when that happens, you're like, oh, I've been through stuff before. I've tried stuff before. I've faced stuff before, and I've gotten through it. And that's adventure kind of ingrains that in your body. You try stuff, it's successful or not or whatever, and you get through it and you grow. And so when I came home, I had a whole lot of couch time because I was pretty immobile for about 2 months. And so when I'm sitting there on the couch, I'm like, okay, do I want to watch a whole series of really bad movies? Or should I start writing this book? And so that really was the motivating factor to write the book, because my story became even more important to me to get out. And I really wanted to share that. I do talk about the leg and the risk with adventure and how sometimes stuff happens. And so that's all in the book. But really, I think I was able to write the book because of the journey I've been on and the adventure I've been on since breaking my leg 6 months ago. And so that was, and there's some of that in here, because I know sometimes when people approach adventure, even smaller adventures, there can be fear because it's uncertain, right? We don't know how it's going to turn out. But the only way through it is to actually face it. We can't really avoid that kind of stuff. And it's funny because people have asked me, even early on after this happened, well, are you going to go kayaking again? And I'm like, heck yeah, I am.
It wasn't the kayak's fault.
Yeah, this is not going to stop me. I mean, it's delaying some things that I like to do, but I'm also finding, one of the lessons and the beautiful things that came out of this is I'm finding new activities that I really love to do that I didn't know that I liked to do, because I've learned, well, okay, I can't really run anymore, so I need to do something else. So I'm going to try these different things. And so it's been really, really great. So even sometimes that negative perception of, oh, that didn't go well, it can turn around and just show you, it can open new doors and show you how resilient you really are.
Yep. I'm one of those who believe there's a reason for everything. Yeah. And that there is good in everything, even no matter how horrible it seems, there is something good that comes out of it. And you have a book that came out of it, and let you know for yourself. And that's fantastic. So let's show your book again, because I think it's fantastic. Is that you on the cover?
Actually, it's not, but the woman that designed it, when she showed me that picture, number one, I love the picture because that's totally something I would do. And it's so funny because several people have said, is that you? And I'm like, no, but it turned out it's a stock photo. And it just so happens that she kind of looks like me. So
yeah, it absolutely could. So how can people find your book? Where are they going to find it?
So there are two ways to get the book. One is to contact me, because I am selling signed hard copies. So if you contact me, you can arrange to get that from me, and I can ship it to you, or meet up with you, because I'm happy to do that too. Or it's also available on Amazon in electronic book format. And so it's $4.99 on Amazon. If you search, the easiest way to search is Golicic Adventure, because there's not a lot of Golicics out there. So that makes it easy to find it. But if you are a Kindle Unlimited member, it's free. So you can actually download it onto your Kindle. And I think people that have that, there's a certain number of free books they're allowed to read at a time or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I just shared your phone number and your website. So Uninhibited Wellness, you can work with people anywhere in the world, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So if you're watching this and you feel so inclined that you want to reach out to her, go to her website, find out what she and Stephen are doing in their business. And if you're so inclined, contact her. And hey, while you're contacting her, buy a copy of her book from her, and she'll sign it for you. So that's absolutely wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this video with me today. I sincerely appreciate it. And I'm always excited to hear more about adventure every time we talk.
Well, thanks, Denise. Again, I really appreciate it. And thanks, everybody, for being here and listening. And just the one thing I want to tell you is just get out there and have an adventure, whether it's today or sometime this week. Just do it.
That's fantastic. And for those of you watching this video, I encourage you to go to our YouTube library. Just put You Define Wellness, that's Y-O-U, Define Wellness, in the search bar. You will find our YouTube channel. We literally have more than 100 videos in there from our vetted health and wellness professionals. So when you are on your wellness path and trying to learn about new modalities, or you want to hear and get to know someone before you actually buy from them or contact them, go to our library. It is a fantastic resource. We have Susan on there a couple of times. Her business partner, Stephen Glitzer, is on there as well. So we really encourage you to utilize it, and we hope to see you on another video soon.